Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin.
Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, 25 years serial tech entrepreneur. My new book, Fail Hard, Win Big, comes out this month here in June 2025. It's my story of 30 ventures, 20 failures with 10 wins. The common element was always building custom software development to improve operations, to improve end user experience, and to create more enterprise value. Now I'm the CEO of Sonatify Technology. We're a custom software development firm. And I am joined today by Bob Berbeco out of Iowa. Bob has been a healthcare industry expert, been both a CTO and CIO. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Glad to be here.
All right, Bob, take a minute or two and walk our listeners through the journey of your career.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I have been a healthcare technology leader now for about 26 years in different capacities. Have had the opportunity to do multiple things throughout my career, data analytics, cybersecurity, AI, programming, all that fun stuff. And over the years, I have learned a lot. And I've always approached it as every opportunity that came up, I always approached it as a way for me to improve myself. So today, I am the CIO at Mahaska Health. We're a critical access hospital here in Oskaloosa, Iowa. And I lead everything, soup to nuts. So the information technology, the architecture, the keep the lights on, data science, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, informatics, all of that, strategy and tactical planning behind it. And my goal is really to make not only the patient experience be as optimal as possible, but the provider experience be just as optimal. There's a lot of things, and I may go off on a certain territory here, but something that
I'll stop you if you're going bad.
Well, something that I'm very passionate about is technology needs to be there to help people. Technology needs to be there to make processes and workflows and all those things optimal. And what I've seen in healthcare over the years, and including today, we're working on it here, is the technologies we have are adding time. They're actually creating issues where we have providers potentially having burnout, where they have to work at night to respond to messages and do clicking and all these things.
So technology is causing more work versus less?
Yeah. And it shouldn't, right? I mean, it really shouldn't. And so what we look to do here is we just look at the workflows and see how is it clicks? Is it something that we can remove that would make things easier? Repeatable processes. Is there a way we can use robotic process automation to get rid of those things? So it's a passion of mine. It's something I'm working on. I do have a Six Sigma black belt, and I have that background. And so I've always approached optimization as a problem.
Gotcha. So let's take a step back. No, let's take a step back, please. So you've been this healthcare tech veteran at multiple different companies. How did you land as CIO at Mahaska Health?
Yeah, it's really great question. I would say that my background and something that I've been looking to do is I've always wanted to be the CIO of an organization. And Mahaska Health, I reached out, I went through the process of talking with them. And what really attracted me here was their culture. Their culture is very empowering, not only to leaders, but to the people who work here. And everyone has a voice in terms of their opinions are important, and we listen. And it's what drew me here. And it's also not only keeps me here, but I feel like I can do my best work.
So did you actually just apply through normal channels and not have any specific contacts there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's, certainly CIO, CTO roles have been almost impossible over the past couple of years to please everybody.
Yes.
And a lot of our listeners are tech leaders. And I always like to make sure people explain their journey of how they got their current role, because sometimes applying on LinkedIn or through general channels can be a lost cause. But it sounds like you're the exception.
I suppose so. Yeah. I feel blessed by it. Yes.
All right. Well, tell us some fun projects you're working on.
Sure. I would say the most fun one that we're working on right now is, so when I came to this organization, we really didn't have a centralized enterprise data warehouse, and analytics in itself was an opportunity for us. We were doing a lot of good things, but analytics and reporting was a gap. And so since I've been here, I have reorganized our area within IT so that we had an analytics focus. And we're in the process of being partnered with our Community Connect partner, Unity Point. So they're the large organization here in Iowa. And we're creating a data mart. They are working with us to carve out data we have within Epic and put it someplace. It would be in Snowflake. And we would have the ability to connect to it, through a visualization tool to connect to it and be able to pull down what we need. It's in process, still being architected, but it's an exciting project that we're working on.
So certainly everyone and their brothers heard of AI, and I almost think if we were to put 10 tech leaders in a room and ask each of them for their definition of AI, we'd get different. But at the end of the day, I think we can all agree is AI is only as good and only has the potential from the data that it's pulling from. The fact that you've been taking those steps to extract the data you need into a Snowflake architecture puts you in the right step moving forward to truly take advantage. Do you think a lot of other healthcare companies are taking these steps right now?
I think they are. I think they're doing what they can. I mean, data is definitely a big focus area. I think, and it's just my personal opinion, but I mean, data, AI, those are big focus areas within healthcare. And being able to get your arms around the data that you have, and being able to, hold on one second, sorry. Being able to get your arms around the data and then being able to use it, with actual data-driven insights is something that's really important. Also, data governance is a big important aspect of it. You have to have
which everybody hates.
Yes, right.
It's one thing about getting the data into a centralized platform, creating standards, but then that damn governance stuff that everybody always hates. But that as the CIO or CTO, you need to really train people to be able to have that governance so the data can be useful.
Absolutely, yes.
When you figure that out, we'll need a much bigger platform than Software Leaders Uncensored for you to get that message out.
Right. No, definitely. And you're right. I think what's cool is you touch on, governance has this governance. But if you approach it in the right way and in how, I don't want to say sell it, but in how you interact with your customers and the people like the providers and people, you approach it like, here's a business proposal, here's the pros, here's the cons, here's what it'll get you, and here's, this is where it's going to take us. And doing it succinctly like that, you'll still have some naysayers, but most people, they'll be like, okay, that seems reasonable. That seems like a reasonable approach.
And I'm sure, if doctors are part of your clients you're serving, they're always reasonable. As long as it doesn't take them any more time or effort.
Well, yeah. Well, and actually, I'm going to put my myself in their shoes. I would be the same way. Yeah. I think it's fair to say we all got a lot of things going on in our lives, and the less you can take from it, the better off you are. So the better.
So talk to us about your engineering team that is, leading this data transformation and these projects you're doing. Talk about how you have them structured, how you manage that team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have it all functional. So, and that was one of the things that I did when I came here is change the alignment, have different functional components so that we can focus on different aspects of technology. So we have engineers. The engineers, they're responsible for the architecture that is within our hospital. We have program management. So we had sort of project management here, but creating a structure and a focus there. So now we have program management. We have your classic service desk. So we have the folks who are the break fix, the people who are taking care of things at the tier 1 level.
Okay.
Yep. We have data science, another functional group, and that was newly created when I got here. And then the informaticists that we have, that's another group. And they're responsible. They have a hard job. Oh, sorry. Were you going to ask a question?
Yeah, so certainly I would imagine service desk people have to be on site. The rest of your team, are they on site, remote, hybrid?
It's a mix. It's a mix. We do have some folks that are full-time remote. We do have some folks that are hybrid, where it's a flexible arrangement. And then we do have some folks that, because of how their job is and what their responsibilities are, it requires them to be here on site.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so, out of curiosity, with the data architecture that you're putting in place, why did you choose Snowflake versus Databricks versus some of the others? What drove you that direction?
Yeah, Snowflake is Azure based, and we are mostly a Microsoft shop. And we have, what's important for us is that familiarity. The engineers that I have, basically everyone that I have here that's on staff, they're familiar with Microsoft-based products. So
Gotcha.
it made sense, or, from a business sense, it made sense to be able to move that towards that direction because we would have familiarity to it.
Gotcha. No, makes a lot of sense. Do you have a third party helping you with that, or is your team handling that internally? Or
we are working closely with Unity Point, and they are like our Community Connect, our EMR partner. And so I believe they have brought in some consultants to help them as far as the architecture, because much of the environment is on their end, but we're working together on it.
Gotcha. And I would imagine in the hospital, healthcare space, certainly the coordination with, the EMR partners are critical for making sure you're pulling the right data in the right manner and blocking out the appropriate confidential data.
Absolutely.
As a healthcare CIO in today's world, what's the biggest challenge you're facing now?
I would say the biggest challenge is, unlimited demand, the unlimited amount of demand that's out there, trying to balance that with the limitations around resourcing. And how I approach that is have a process behind it. So have a demand management process that's in place that can help. And I know I have a whiteboard behind me, but I see demand as this huge, gigantic funnel. As technology as a support service, we have this huge funnel of things, and it comes from soup to nuts all over the place. We have to have some sort of a structure so that it comes through. Demand management's the approach. The key is making sure that the decisions that are being made on priorities and what we're doing has engagement from the business side. It's not a technology decision. It's a business decision. And we have to
in the hospital and healthcare space, is it harder to get buy-in from non-technical stakeholders than other industries?
I would say, much of my familiarity is within healthcare. So it'd be hard for me to say what's outside of healthcare. I would say that, for the most part, the majority, as long as you have a structured business case around, so if something's coming in from the business side that they want to do something, we partner up, we put together a business case between technology and the business folks and I usually put in an SBAR format. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but an SBAR format or a business case format, and present that with that partnership, business, technology to CFO, whoever it is, say, this is what we're looking to do. They see that partnership. They see that there's been some thought behind it. And I've just, not to say it's perfect, but I have seen that it seems to work pretty well.
Gotcha. So let's talk, Bob. Let's go through some questions here. What's one brutal lesson you wish you would have learned earlier in your career?
Yeah, no, great question. I would say that, and it took me a while to learn this. I always thought that I should be the smartest guy in the room. I think technology people in general, I'm generalizing, maybe I shouldn't do that. But,
no, this is the CIOs have this problem that they think they need to be able to answer everything on the spot.
Correct. Yeah, and you kind of get set in that role. And I will admit, it took me a number of years to figure out, if I'm in a room of 20 people, I always felt like I was compelled to be the person with the answer. And I've learned that no, The true power is when you're in the room with 20 people, you got thought leaders all around you. You try to elicit their thoughts and then coalesce those thoughts into, hey, this might be a good move moving forward. And so that was a very hard lesson. But once I learned it, it was an aha moment because you see that power in that room. You see what's actually happening in front of you, and you're just like, wow, you just bask.
Well,
That's the answer, man.
when you're a young rising tech star, you always kind of like to think you know everything and sometimes try to compensate. And it takes a few gray hairs like we both have to
Right.
learn the ways and learn from our mistakes, right?
Right.
All right. So on a different note, what's your secret sauce for taking a business plan and turning it into scalable software?
Yeah, I would say once again, it comes down to a process, having a process behind it. So what is the business need? And then it's that partnership piece is being closely aligned with business folks. What is the business need? What are you looking to accomplish? And I can work with them, put together that business case. Here's your business need. Here's some solutions out there that could potentially meet that. Let's go ahead and do a structured RFP, make it totally non-biased, like a scorecard, like a report card, and list those folks. We got requirements listed down, and let's just go down the list as we're doing that RFP. And then there's costs, so there's TCO, and you balance the TCO with who meets the majority of requirements. And then we work that to a business case that can be presented to a board or to CFO or whoever the person is that needs to provide the funding for it.
Gotcha. All right. So you've been building teams, engineering teams for over two decades now. What's changed the most with engineers you hire now versus maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah, I would say that the big one is 10 years ago, it was more about your knowledge. It was more about your skill set. It was more about like fixed type information. I want someone who I can plug in who knows something really good. Nowadays, it's more, things are changing so quickly. The world is adapting so quickly. Technology is just like this, exponential in all sorts of different areas. You have to have someone who can come in. They, base level of skill set for sure, but they have to be able to communicate. They have to have a curious mind, like learning, always learning, listening to others, being able to interact with people really well. And the other big one is adaptability. You have to have someone with the propensity to adapt. And I don't know if so there's IQ, there's EQ, and then there's AQ. And IQ is kind of fixed. I know I'm not a scientist, but IQ is kind of fixed. You have what you have. EQ, it's something that can change over time. Emotional adaptability quotient. And people, like what I'm seeing actually just in healthcare, and especially healthcare technology, if you have someone who has this off the chart AQ, you can almost put them anywhere and they'll find ways to succeed.
Interesting. No, that's a good point. And, with how AI is changing our world, how it's making things more efficient. We could sit here and talk about the best AI tools to help engineering teams in the beginning of June. And by the end of June, it'll probably all change by then. That's how fast it's moving. And ability to continue to adapt is key.
Absolutely.
All right. So what would you say is one common myth about tech leaders that needs to die?
Oh boy. I guess it gets back to that hard lesson I learned. Is that common myth is the tech leader has to be the smartest guy. Has to be, you're the person who knows everything about technology. And it's not. The best, once again, maybe it's my personal opinion, but like the best leaders that are out there are the ones who are listening. They're the ones who have that beginner's mind approach that they see, I know I'm not the smartest person in the room. So I need to be aware of that and be willing to listen to someone and maybe guide them, but listen to them. And that's a myth for sure that needs to die.
It definitely takes a seasoned leader to know that if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in trouble.
Yes.
All right. What would you say is your favorite part of being a healthcare CIO and tech leader?
My favorite part. So my favorite part is I do sincerely love interacting with like the providers, the clinicians, the front line. They do things that I don't do. And so that beginner's mind approach, that curious mind approach comes back is I want to learn from them. There is someone anecdotally, there's a CMIO, so Chief Medical Information Officer here, that he has all this wealth of knowledge, and he's got years and years of provider-based knowledge that I just don't have. And so just being able to sit there and listen to them and learn things that I would have never learned, throughout my life if I didn't have that connection. So that's that. And I enjoy the challenge. I might be, a masochist or something. I don't know. But no, I really enjoy the challenge. I mean, healthcare is a challenging area, and technology within healthcare is a challenging area. It stokes my fire.
I truly believe, Bob, that those who can solve more challenges than others are ones who make the most money. And those who could be hit with challenge after challenge every day and attack it with a vengeance and actually enjoy it have the opportunity to earn more money than those who hide from challenges.
Yeah. And it gives you an opportunity, I'll answer a question for myself is challenges. That's the way life in general, that's how you grow. And I, personally and professionally, I know I've had multiple challenges throughout my life, and each one of them, I saw it as a learning opportunity.
What would you say is the hardest part of your job?
The hardest part of my job is really that balance. I sincerely want to make sure that I'm meeting customer needs. And so I have to, and you have to be aware of perception. So you have to have not like a plan, but like perception is a big thing. You have to make sure that others and people see different things. So you have to be mindful of how you're communicating with everyone. You have to be mindful of how you might be perceived in reacting to something that they're giving you. And you have to be a listener. You're going to get hit from all sorts of different angles on all sorts of different topics. And you have to listen and then try and help guide that to some sort of a solution.
Great advice, Bob. Thank you for getting uncensored with us today. Excited to see how you continue to shape the healthcare industry. Any final shout outs or advice you have for tech leaders?
I would say the advice I have, we touched on challenges, is always be willing to learn and grow. Every opportunity presents itself, and it's an opportunity for you to become a better person and a better leader.
Awesome. Bob, thank you so much. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. Stay bold and keep building.
Thanks, Steve.